Elsipogtog First Nation is currently in negotiations with the provincial and federal governments. The negotiations are meant to address the history of stolen land in the territory known today as New Brunswick. To learn more about what's at stake and the current status of negotiations, NB Media Co-op volunteer Lance Francis spoke to lawyer Amy Sock, who works at the Claims Centre in Elsipogtog. Stay tuned.
I guess first we should know what is the difference between specific claims, land claims, and title claims.
That's a very good, those are very good questions, and I'll start with defining the difference between the claims. The difference between them is actually which government you're negotiating with and to what extent. The specific land claim is dealing with the 54,000 acres that was identified in 1824 to belong to the Richibucto Indians, which is now the Elsipogtog First Nation. And it includes the other side of the river and also the land from the river 4 miles towards like the road on either side of the land. So that's specific. It's marked down. It's a very specific description and a description in an area. But then when we get to Aboriginal rights and treaty rights and unceded territory, then we're talking about the whole maritime provinces. The comprehensive land claim is in a larger scale, and it encompasses more than half of the whole New Brunswick, where we consider it to be Mi'kmaq unceded traditional territory. So it's really all unceded territory. But in our case, in Elsipogtog, Gobit Lodge is doing something like a comprehensive claim where they're dealing with a multitude of different issues that have impacted us with the land. They identified it to go all the way up to, St. John and a little bit more towards the west would be the Maliseets, but other than that, the whole one side of the province is considered Mi'kmaq unceded territory. And that's the difference between two of them. Like the comprehensive land claim could also even include like self-government, how we're going to govern ourselves, how we're going to manage our own community by ourselves. And it would usually include like a lot of dollars from the federal government, and it takes a long time to develop a plan. I think in British Columbia they did a large one there, and it took them 20 years to negotiate their comprehensive land claim, where they took charge of their own land, and now they're doing their own stuff in terms of governance and the First Nation community.
So comprehensive land claims are also called modern, like the modern treaty process, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
Elsipogtog is engaging in a modern treaty?
You could say that. You could say that with confidence, because really, in essence, that is what we're doing. Or the Gobit Lodge is taking control and about that, and they're doing a wonderful job, like trying to engage in different people, like NB Power and all these stuff, the telephone lines and the land and everything that they need to deal with. They're making connections with the people that need to be told or informed of how and what the claim is and how it might affect them.
The modern treaty process that's the land claim or the title claim?
The title claim.
Title claim. So we're asserting our title over the king's land, crown land.
Crown land. Yeah.
Okay, and that usually typically involves just one payment at the end, eh?
Well, no, we can't really say that because we don't know what the negotiation process is going to look like. I'm hoping that whatever it is, it would include like royalties from these main, like NB Power, for example. So it's going to be a continuous, ongoing money transfer. So I think that it's not going to be the be all, end all. It's going to be a beginning of something new and something that we control and guide.
For the federal government, right? Because the federal government uses the comprehensive treaties to like say that they're never going to negotiate again once the treaties are signed, eh?
Yes, and it's
But
the federal government that is negotiating with the specific land claim as well.
so it's the who's negotiating on behalf of Elsipogtog?
The negotiating team for Elsipogtog consists of the chief and the three lawyers. There's actually three female lawyers that helped prepare the claim and send it off to Canada, and they're the ones that negotiate um, with with uh, with Canada. It's also uh, not just like really the chief and those three lawyers, but he includes the whole council. Like the whole council will be asked to go meet in Ottawa, for example, and to talk about this specific land claim. And he would, encourage and invite his whole council instead of just him and the lawyers, so that it really, encompasses like the whole community, and the community gets information from the counselors, so everyone's getting the same kind of information. It's not different from the chief or the council or the lawyers. We're all, being told the same thing at the same time. So
So the claims underway are a specific claim on the land encroachment and the title claim of asserting title over Crown land.
yes, the specific claim also is like mostly, not mostly, but a large component is land usage and the loss of land usage. Like, for example, 200 years ago, um, what's the difference from 200 years ago to today in terms of land usage? Like a long time ago, the settlers thought that because we didn't cut all the trees down to make a farmland or something, that we were not using the land properly. They called it uncultivated land, and we're so different from the settlers, because we like to keep the land the way in its natural uh, way, without disturbing it too much. That to us, that's helping Mother Nature. But for settlers, they want land for their horses, for their farm, for the churches, for schools, for those kinds of purposes. And because of all of that, it is why we are successful in our specific land claim, because it's black and white. They gave us this big piece of land, and over time, they sold it to settlers without even asking us, without us benefiting from the rentals or the sale of property, or even at one point they made agreements. The farmers that settled around here, the agreement was that whatever they produce, whatever vegetables they produce, that they would feed us, help feed the community. But that too didn't even happen.
So is one of the things in the specific claim or even title claim asking for like property tax from like all the land that was sold? Like if are we taking it back to like then be like taking like renting it out to the white people so they keep using it and we get like the money back?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I don't have like a specific answer for you. But when they did the land assessment, that's exactly what they focused on, and so the negotiating dollars, have a lot to do with what was assessed by the land assessor.
And can we talk more about the background of the 1824 illegal taking claim?
Yes, so at that time, the chiefs, for whatever reason, they were right into, I want to say government, but at that time it wasn't government. The people in charge were the people that won the war. So they would be talking with them or exchanging letters with them. And at that time, it was the chiefs that were writing and saying, you know, we want identified land too. We, we were here first and we need land to be identified and saved for us. So at that time, the government said, okay, Elsipogtog, and that's where the 10 miles on either side comes from. When that happened, there was these people that were living, like the settlers. One of them, the last name was Powell, and he was writing letters to the colonel, saying that the native people gave him land, and the native people, it's a long letter and it was full of lies because the native chiefs did not ask this person, Mr. Powell, to write a letter on their behalf. And there's even more letters regarding this Powell person, that there's a letter that is giving him, Thomas, the senior Powell, 300 acres of our land. His son got 200 acres, and his brother-in-law got 150 acres of our land. And they were complaining to the army, saying that the native people, their horses are grazing on our land. Like our horses couldn't even eat where they cultivated the land, and they were very mean about it. And even our grandfathers who fished, they would be fishing in the river, and the settler would get mad at them and tell them to get away from the river. They thought they owned the river as well. And we come from a very kind and respectful community. The Mi'kmaq people, like, they didn't argue. Our grandfather said okay and left. And that them taking over that land cost us almost our future, because now Elsipogtog, the people are in this pot of land, but because they're used to going here to go get their medicines and fishing here for their fish, or digging for clams here, or getting the berries from over there, hunting here. Now they were like, their pharmacy was closed. Outside, the earth was closed to them. And the grocery stores, became like a necessity, and they didn't have like a lot of money. So they really lost a lot of things, 200 years ago when they started giving away that land. They lost almost our livelihood. I'm so grateful that we are here presently with 5,000 strong Elsipogtog people, and some of us still speak in our language because, a lot of stuff through history happened to try and abolish us.
Do you negotiate separately with the feds in the province?
Yes. right now, the specific land claim is mostly negotiating with the federal government. The comprehensive claim with Gobit Lodge is negotiating with the provincial and federal government.
What is the current status of the Elsipogtog's various claims, starting with the specific claim?
The current status now in 2025, unfortunately, due to politics in the federal government level in Canada, it kind of rocked the boat because we were doing so well in negotiating and almost reaching, a settlement amount. And before the government changed, the government wanted to appease Elsipogtog, and they gave us an advance of $30 million. And that's their indication to us that they, really mean business and they want to close this file as well. But now with the new government, we have to wait it out and see, how fast that they'll be able to get back into negotiating the final amount and, then distributing it to the community after a referendum. So, the Canadian government, the politics also affects us here in this reserve, like in this small province, it affects us.
So is it the election that made the Canadian government back away and take it slow, or was it Justin Trudeau stepping down and Mark Carney's being elected that slowed it down?
Yeah, I think just former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau really wanted to settle this with our chief and council, but and that's why I think we received in advance. But now with the new Prime Minister, he's gonna have to get re-educated with the claim, and he has to feel comfortable, enough about it, and it's almost starting from scratch, but really it isn't, because the negotiations are here, but they got to get the negotiator on the same level as they were prior to Canada going into an election.
What about the title claim?
The title claim, I feel that we're just in the start of the negotiations. Everyone, it's actually talked about in the whole province, and it's something that the province is aware of. The people in New Brunswick know about our title claim, and everyone's excited about it. But I think even that one, I think we will see our specific land claim settled first, then the title claim. I think we need another 10 years probably to complete negotiations for the Gobit title claim.
And for the 30 million in rents, you said something about a referendum. Is that that so the community can help choose how to allocate that money?
Yes, so what will happen is once the negotiations are done, they have an amount that they agreed on. The next step for chief and council is to bring it to the community, and the community has to accept that through a referendum. And a referendum is like a voting, like in the elections. But also, when we're accepting this referendum, they will have options of how we wish to distribute the monies. It will have 3 or 4 options, like so many percent going out to the community, a certain percentage of the pie going to our future, the government, houses. Our opportunities for growth will be increased with this. Even just having money in the bank and letting it incur interest at a large amount, because it's a large amount of money. It's something new for us, and if we do get a lot of money and we set aside a certain percentage of it and bank on the interest that it'll make for the future of Elsipogtog, the options are really endless, and I think that it's going to be a large amount of money, and I think that we're going to have to stand strong as a community to make sure that we use this money wisely, and also to think about the 7 generations to come, like my grandchildren that are not even born yet. Like, where are they going to live? Are we going to keep some of the land so that our grandchildren will have a place to live? Well, I hope so. So all of this stuff, like, it'll all depend on what the community decides to do.
And recently there were meetings in Elsipogtog about how to use the 30 million related to these claims. Where does this money come from? Is it the specific claim?
Yes, it is. It's from the specific claim, and it's just an advance. Even if we don't, let's say in the referendum, the community decides no, we don't want to take the offer, or we're not settling for this, then that'll be the end. But the thing is, we wouldn't have to pay back that 30 million. And $30 million is a lot of money.
100 has been, or 1,000 has been paid already, and there have been complaints about the delays in the payment of the rest per member. Any comment on that?
Yes, I've actually seen on Facebook, there's a lot of people wanting their money, the land claim money, and wanting to also know where the rest of it went, that $30 million, subtract, whatever hundreds of thousands that they used to give us all, $1,000 advance. And really, that's something that is a chief and council issue and responsibility. So, I wouldn't feel comfortable in assuming this or that. It would have to come from them.
And what is the timeline for when all this will be resolved?
I hope soon. I have a good feeling that it might get resolved before our elections that are due to come up, our own community elections that are due to come up next year, 2026. So I'm kind of thinking that we're going to be settling before the election year, because the present chief and council has done so much, preparation and negotiating and all of this, and I think they would, love to close this big file before their terms end, and but that's just how I am picturing this. But it could be another couple of years, but I'm thinking that it's going to be sooner.
That's all the questions we had.
Oh, okay.
So thank you for showing up.
Oh, yes.
And I guess that's it. Hey, that's all she wrote.